with the rock. You physically couldn't hold me, I don't care if you pushing 40. You can never little bro me. Euro step like Ginobili, from young OG to the OG. From nosebleeds to floor seats, circle stronger than Cuban links. My gold dance, your gold plated. You verse me, now that's the reach. We ready. Who ready?
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the One-on-One Sports Show here on the Black Man Unfiltered Network. I'm Mr. Bennett, joined by my partner, Shawnee. Hopefully the other fellas, they are en route to be here. Good to be with you guys once again. We took a week off. It was the most depressing time of the year, Shawnee. I'm telling you, the withdrawal, no NFL to talk about and whatnot. It was just a dead period. I said, yeah, let's all just take a break, bro, because I just couldn't get up for it. I'm sorry. I know we're going to talk about a couple things that happened certainly since then, you know, in the chat, but I just couldn't get into it, man. It's just a very depressing time. I couldn't get up for the Olympics. I just wasn't there, man. I don't know about you.
We got plenty of stuff to talk about when it comes to basketball.
Yeah, but now that was around the All-Star break. So again, we didn't have we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about that a little bit, but I mean, it wasn't like there was a lot of breaking news at the time that we could kind of fill a slot with. So I was like, man, but I'm glad to be back, and certainly we got a lot of things to chop up. Obviously, we got certainly talk about the All-Star break. We got NFL. The good thing this week. Now, again, I'm a combine guy. I know they talk about it's just Olympics in underwear, the underwear Olympics and all that kind of stuff. I don't care. I love seeing the guys run, jump, bench press. I love all that stuff. So it just lets me know that football, the draft is just a couple months away. Free agency starts on the 11th, and I'm just happy that I can start talking some football again. So definitely going to get into that, and obviously we're going to have a special slot tonight to talk about the Olympics. The shout out to Team USA, both the men and women's hockey team winning gold, beating Canada, and certainly going to hop it up. When my guy Anton, he'll be on a little bit later on. We're going to chop it up with him, certainly regarding that. But yeah, certainly lots of exciting stuff that's been going on, certainly in the world of sports. But yeah, man, let's just get into this. Let me share my screen. So again, speaking about the NBA All-Star Weekend. So obviously they had the new format. Regarding the, certainly you had the All-Stars versus, they had the two American teams, and then they had the one European team, or the foreign team, and the international team. And I know, Shawnee, you were commenting that you thought that the effort was a little bit more than what we were used to, certainly in the past. So what was your impressions of the game? Shout out to Anthony Edwards winning MVP, certainly of the All-Star game. But just overall, what was your general sense of it? Is this a step in the right direction, or is it still kind of, sort of losing value over time? And we got to ask the question, like, why are we still playing this game? So what was your initial thoughts?
Well, the game, they definitely stepped their effort. What was it? Just single 12-minute games for the most part?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
it was basically like running. It's like running game to 12 at the park. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, I kind of like that.
They definitely was giving effort, and and then you saw the old guys just gave, they ran out of gas towards the end. But during this, it showed me that, because you hear a lot of conversation out there about who will be the face of the league once LeBron, Steph, and KD, that big three, once they leave. And many times you hear people say Anthony Edwards. And I was like, okay, it's rightfully so, because, I guess he has the play on the court. I still don't really feel like he is just box office yet. Like, face of the league is box office. And that, when I say that, that means people come, like, if he goes to, an arena on the road, the local fans are buying tickets to make sure they be in attendance to watch him play. And I think it's just most of the basketball community that really respect his game, and because he has a personality. But, sometimes if you pay attention to some of Edwards' things, he got like it's just some stuff that's behind the scenes with him that you don't really want to associate with face of the league. Well, this
Oh, you mean
All-Star game,
paying his child play
stuff like that. 'Cause, if you're the face of the league, that's why I think a lot of players don't want it, because in today's society, you literally have a microscope on you.
Mm-hmm.
And that means when you're the face of the league, that means other people outside the sports community, not just basketball, but the sports community, know your face. But then they'll start talking about everything about you, even outside of basketball. And so when I was watching the All-Star game, one thing I was like, okay, I think we may be potentially seeing a face, and that's Wemby. Not because really his basketball, he was playing well. It's because I don't know if y'all seen a quote. Wemby had a quote before the All-Star game, because they was asking him about the effort of the players. Of, hey, will the effort be, well during this All-Star game? We have to be looking at the past years of this All-Star game going down into this valley of low effort. Well, Wemby made a comment, I'm just paraphrasing, basically like, hey, I'ma let my play be something that the other All-Stars can follow, so everybody can up their effort. He said, if they don't follow me as far as effort, I just do it on my own. So, and you've seen how important that Wemby was taking that game, and the players was following Wemby. They wasn't following the effort of the old school guys. They wasn't following even Anthony Edwards himself, when they was interviewing him after the game, after he got his MVP, he mentioned we were following Wemby. So that's why, you remember when last time they really gave effort was when Kobe passed away. That one time, but that was after Kobe passed away, so they wanted to do it for Kobe. And then even when Kobe was playing, they was giving effort because Kobe wouldn't let it get like that. Well, even LeBron, obviously LeBron, he was during this whole time was just falling downhill. But the players, once they saw how Wemby was playing in this All-Star game, they followed him. And Wemby is already looked at a generational player. So I think that with this All-Star game, we may have got a glimpse of who may be the potential face of the NBA in the near future. Because it's more than just what you produce on the court. It's a whole lot of stuff in this gumbo that I believe will qualify you as a face, and especially if one key part of it, if your peers follow you. And they followed him that All-Star game. And I think that was a clear tipping point on why we saw improved effort in that All-Star game. Literally, the only thing that happened that kind of wore down, like you said, the old guys just ran out of energy, man. They just couldn't keep up them young dudes that came and ran them literally off the court.
Yeah, but just kind of surprised because the news came out that KD, he said he's going to be on the 28 team. And I don't know if that's just, I mean, it's like, we barely got out of the Olympics last time with an incredible effort. So, again, are we just going to field a team of age veterans, or are we going to try to get younger? But
the thing about when KD played, because we saw in the past Olympics, the world is coming up in basketball.
For real.
LeBron and Steph, they most likely, they may be gone. I think LeBron may be. Steph, I don't know. He still may be, but he still hasn't committed to that 2018. But so it's going to be a lot of young players, potentially at 2018. It's going to be interesting to see them versus the world, who you saw how close France almost beat U.S. in this past, in both the women's game as well. So, it's going to be interesting to see when KD play in 28 games. The world just they may overtake USA at that point, or be really neck and neck.
Gotcha. What's going on, Dante?
Man, not much, man. What's going on, fellas?
It's all good. What was your thoughts on the All-Star game, the new format? You for it? Did it raise stake for you? Did it capture your interest?
I'm not gonna lie. Typically, the All-Star game falls basically around my anniversary. So I normally have a reason. No, I basically, and then since it's been bad, I just kind of like, hey man, that's my time to kind of take a break, and then just I'm normally traveling, but this time I was sick as a dog, and I was just like, because I was already hyped to see it, but I was just like, I want to see it, so I was just like, I had enough energy to watch it, and I was like, I was actually entertained, and yes, I was gonna get KP. You read my mind about K. Shout out to Arlington, Texas, DFW Hoopers, but the fact that they came with great effort, but someone this, and I don't want to take away from their point. I can't remember who made it. They said we should do this every 4 years to keep it fresh, since the All-Star game has such a tough time of being competitive. And then if you do that at the point, and we have it, 2028, we do it like that. But we should go it back to East and West. When Miyama, he's going to be the catalyst for the West. Anthony Edwards is going to be a perennial All-Star. He will spark the West because I like the way he was competitive and won the All-Star Game MVP. But on the Eastern side, we got to have the Cade Cunninghams of the world, who was a part of the All-Star winning team. Jalen Duran, who looks like he could be a consistent All-Star if he keeps improving. Those guys the young guys are going to have to lead the way. And so, but I want to focus on the point of what Kevin Durant said. And you saw it in the All-Star game. He was just like, the Euro guys, and Anthony Edwards made it too, they're not competing either. So we're always saying, hey, they're the best. Everybody, even on this panel, we just saying, hey, I don't know. I think they may overtake the world. Whereas I have a different viewpoint on it. We have to see if they're going to raise their level besides Wembanyama. He's not the only guy that can raise the level of play. The other European players have to go, and it's just like they don't care. Like Jokic already, the flaw on him is it seems like he doesn't care as much as the other guys. It doesn't seem like he cares as much, and he doesn't care about being the face and doing all those different things. And I know we're saying Wembanyama, we don't know his personality yet. So I think maybe this was the coming out. If he could have won All-Star Game MVP, and maybe this could be the point. It may be the fact of what's going to happen in this April and May. In June, will he step up and take on that mantle as far as the international game? But I do still think there's always going to be, because some people are just not going to be cool with an international player being the guy. There's always going to be a top American player that certain people are going to look for. Luka Jokic. Yeah, no, Luka and Jokic aren't him. But what I'm saying is we need him. We need the Wembanyamas of the world to spark the Lukas of the world. To spark the Jokic is like, hey, we're trying to make this game better. Like, because I'm also like, look, you can say, hey, under LeBron's watch, these things happen. But also, like KD, you could see his comments. It happened on KD's watch. He's just a couple of years after. It happened on Steph's watch. What happened to the older guys in the game and doing it? There's a bit of a disconnect. I'll take it a step back further. Who started the process of sitting out games and resting games? Which player started that? Or who started that?
It was Popovich.
It's Popovich. So my thing is Popovich, a coach, or one of the best organizations we had. And I will say I think that was the transition point where Stern wasn't there, and it was already the Silver had taken over.
Yeah.
That's something they should have spanked their hand out of that early. But he kept trying things, and they should have had a sit-down meeting with him like he would have Iverson and any other player. Like, hey, and said this crap's got to stop. But and I'm glad you mentioned Kawhi. Kawhi, the great enigma of Kawhi Leonard and how great he played. That's the only thing I say they have to tweak it. You can't play them back to back because you want the high effort, and with the All-Star game, you're rotating guys out. I really would have liked to see at their best that that older team get to go against the younger team. That would have been great. But I appreciate the effort, but other things that All-Star weekend got to go.
Yeah. Speaking of the perfect segue, because I'm declaring right now the slam dunk contest has to go. It has to go. It's over. All right. I never thought in my life where I'm like, bring back Billy Ho, bring back McClung to the dunk contest, because I mean it was boring. These guys are uninspired. All these guys are bench warmers. All of them. Only one guy, I think it was Jackson Hayes, had got any starting time. None of these guys have even been starters in the league. So where do we go from having the superstars of the game, the true all-stars? These guys aren't even all-stars. So we went from the best in the game with Dominique and Jordan and Dr. J and those guys to starters, or at least guys come out the bench. These guys got 0 minutes. These guys are averaging 5 points a game.
You can blame LeBron for all this.
Absolutely. So I mean, so this is but it's over. Like I said, the only thing you could do to save this contest is, like I said, You could take some all-stars and you can represent some guys, go to the local course and get the best dunkers in the world. And you sponsor them just so that the fans can enjoy having a good dunk contest. Because really, it doesn't matter if you're that good at dunking. It doesn't matter what your name is. Just find the talented guys and let those guys go ahead. Set up a first prize of like $100,000 or something like that. Outside of that, I don't want to see this again. I mean, none of these guys, even the guy who won it was annoying me because he'd do his stupid dance before he dunked, and his dunks really weren't that impressive to begin with. It's over. It is over. The last one we had was Levine and Gordon. That was the last great.
And that was the time, to me, that was the time to re-spark it. And I will say, I take it as a legitimate complaint of like, hey, LeBron helped Tilden. But there was some other stage apart. There was a number 1 overall pick that was once and won the dunk contest. But it's just like with Blake Griffin. But it's like after him, I'm sorry, the league should have forced Ja Morant and Zion before they became guns and buns. Before they went to that and went off the path, he should have had them compete in the dunk contest. That would have brought the energy because I had to take the shot. Because I have not been more disappointed in two guys in the league in a long time. That I called. I was like, I think Ja Morant has a chance to be better than Zion.
Look, I said I wanted Ja in the draft that year coming out. I picked Ja over Zion.
Same here. He's explosive.
1 and 2.
Nope, no question. But we're gonna have to brand this guns and buns. You're gonna have to go. Hey, black man, take a picture of this and just that'll be our new hashtag going forward for these guys. But it has to go. In fact, I don't even want to spend any more time on it. Let's move on in the show. But again, awful. Shout out to Dame for Dame coming back winning the 3-point contest. I thought that was dope. Him winning that. But outside of that, nothing to talk about, and so just bury it because I don't want to see bench warmers in the contest. But moving on to NBA, more things. So again, it just gets worse and worse for your Mavs. It's like every year's a story now. So again, Kyrie is out for the rest of the year. So again, what's going on? What do you think is there the plan, or what do you think is the way forward for the Mavs? I mean, you're in the finals 2 years ago. And now it's just a complete mess out there with the trades that have taken place. Yes, they certainly they got the number 1 draft pick last year, but it's just whatever the grand scheme is, it's just not working. So you guys are close to the ground. What's the word out of Dallas when it comes to the Mavs, and what is the plan forward, or how they going to proceed? Start with Sean and go with Dante.
Well, when Kyrie was ruled out for the season, it was just okay. I mean, he hasn't played already, so he was already out. Yeah. And plus, once they made the AD trade, okay, it's the young guys team now, so they just gonna let Cooper Flag and Max Christie just develop, with them. Take the draft pick, see if they can get another high draft pick after this year. And then, they're not going nowhere. So you just let the young dudes get some playing time. That's about it. I mean, Kyrie was already, and there's no reason for even. I think right now they're just basically okay. He's been rehabbing throughout the entire season. There's no reason for him to come back this year. Just continue through the season and rehab. So you could definitely be ready by opening day next year. There's no reason for him to come back this year, especially after once that AD trade was gone, and that was, okay, we building around Cooper Flag now, and they basically waved the white flag. Once they made that trade, it all went right back to Luka, and they Mavs are saying, man, we waving the white flag, man. They still blaming Harrison, but some people, it could be Harrison was just a mouthpiece. It definitely looked like that he was scapegoat throughout the whole thing. So once AD got traded, that you just closed that chapter. Now they got lucky and was able to land the #1 pick, get Cooper Flag. He clearly looks like the dude you can build a team around. He clearly looks like that. I know. I don't know if I mentioned it on this show or maybe it was just on Facebook or whatever. I told people, if fans, because they were so much in their feelings when Luka traded, I'm like, just give it some time. Cooper Flag is going to assume that position as the face of the Mavericks, to where y'all gonna be, everybody gonna be wearing Flag jerseys and having that pride about Cooper Flag, because Luka was an elite offensive player, like level turned up to the max offensively. Everything else, defensively, everything else is gone. It's like they soaked up all of his talents for his offensive skill set. Cooper Flag is a good offensive player. He can potentially be a great offensive player. He still got to work on his three-point shooting. But he's a good offensive player, but he's a great defender. And he competes. He competes on both sides of the court. So I think that alone, Cooper Flag kind of keeps a low key. He don't really talk a lot.
Mm-hmm.
You just see him on the court, and then once you see him on the court, the dude produces. And he's so young. Him and Luka came on the Mavs when they were so young. So, it's a new era down there. I think the biggest drama they have now is just between the owners and whatever whispers at the time were talking about them moving the team or whatnot. That's kind of quiet down. I haven't heard much of that lately.
Wasn't there also a rumor that Cuban was considering buying the team back? Was that a real?
It was a rumor. Yeah, that was like a rumor. I don't know how much was behind it, but
yeah,
it got a couple of clicks.
Mm-hmm. Got it. Your thoughts, Dante, on the state of the Mavericks is the word tanking? I mean, are they just gonna I don't know what the league rules are when it comes to that now, but is that the thing now, just to sort of tank the season and just you got one piece?
They really don't need to tank right now. They need to tank.
They'll tank automatically.
To be honest, the way it was sold to start the season, they were going to push for the playoffs and everything like that because you had the pieces in place. You had AD. You felt like, hey, you're going to get Kyrie back. I believe once they got off to the bad start and then you fire Nico Harrison, it became evident that once he's expendable, and all his guys that he wanted are expendable. And Shani, I will stop you there and say, if you're saying that he's a scapegoat, and other people say that, no, so the Mavs told you, the Mavs organization put a gun to your head and said, trade Luka. Okay, I can take that one. But he told you to trade Quinn Grimes for Caleb Martin, who's played like maybe 20-something games for the vet. Like he just a horrible trade. You saw what Quinn Grimes did. He's probably going to get a new contract. So it's like if there are other deals that he did that were bad, that obviously Luka being the worst, then PR wise, him not standing on it. I mean, him getting the threats, not being in the tunnel. There was a lot to go with it. So it's like he made his own bed, and then some people. Even one of my friends, he was just like, oh, man, he always posts. A friend of the show, he comes on every time he in the chat. And he always like, great trade, Nico. I'm like, you can't say great trade, Nico. That pick was not a part of the deal. That pick doesn't come till much later. But I think if Kyrie gets back healthy, he could have played this year if AD's around, if they're pushing for the play-in. That way you can have hope. You got the rookie of the year, unless Tom Knoepel gets it out of Charlotte. But you got a guy that's and you want young players in winning situations. That's the one thing I think the league gets wrong. Try to compete with the guys so they're trying to win. Like, thank God, LaMelo Ball's finally winning some games because he hasn't won. I don't think he's won ever in his life since he was playing with his brothers, and that's not good. That's loser basketball. But I think the Mavericks are in a good spot because next year Kyrie may not be traded just from the standpoint of the Mavericks don't control their first-round picks for the next few years. Like this is their last controllable pick. So they're naturally tanking, honestly, because they were trying to win and then they just stumped. So that's the kind of tanking I don't mind. The Pacers, you lost your player. You lose Miles Turner, out of the blue when you're supposed to sign him back. So I'm like, hey, I understand that tank. Now what Utah's doing, didn't trade for Jaren Jackson. Kudos for that. But then you're sitting guys in the fourth. Oh, minutes restriction. You're sitting them in the fourth in a competitive game. That crap has to stop.
Gotcha. All All right, moving on. Other NBA news I want to cover. So I don't know if we got a chance to talk about the Harden trade to Cleveland. I don't know if we talked about that in the last show, but I mean, but obviously in the last game against the Knicks, he fractures his right thumb, so I'm not sure how long he's going to be out. But Cleveland, they've been on a bit of a win streak. They're 8-2 in their last 10 games, and certainly they're in fourth position in the East. The Celtics, though, they're also very hot. Going on, they got the best defense in the East at this point. Forever, I've been hearing that he's the missing piece to a championship, and every team he's been on, that was the pitch with Philly, with Houston, and whatnot. Now with Cleveland, do you think that he could be the difference maker to help Cleveland get out of the East, or was this should they just stay with the younger guy, whatnot, or is this was just sort of a desperation move by Cleveland to try to acquire a championship? But I don't. Again, with a thumb, not sure how long it's going to keep him out. But I just think that I'm not sold on James Harden in any situation that he necessarily makes you better. He's an older player. He's like 36 right now. So I just can't see what the value of that trade was. I didn't understand it when it happened. But I don't know if he can really help them get over the top, especially with Boston, with their going, and Pistons are playing pretty strong as well. So your thoughts? I'll start with Dante on this one. Your thoughts on a Harden trade, and do you think that can he be a difference maker with this team?
For the easiest answer is no. I'll never believe in James Harden in the playoffs until he does it. Games 6, 5 through 7, he may disappear. And it's just I can't trust him. We've got like 12, 13 years of data. It's not gonna be effective. What I will say is the Cavs are I think they're the only team in the second apron, and I think this is a sneaky way to be like, oh, we got a perfect salary match, player for player, and then Harden wants a new deal. As they will find out in the playoffs, don't give him that new deal. Let him walk, release his cap hold, and then probably make a few more moves to get under that second apron and into the first apron level. So it's a sneaky move to get off that Garland contract, which he's a guy that, they gave it to him and thought he was one of their young pieces, and it just didn't work his fit with Mitchell. And so I think it's a good move for them to get out of it. The only thing now is, where do you go next? Because if they keep over their head against the wall, Donovan Mitchell's locked in long term, and he seems like he's comfortable staying there being the guy. But what else are you going to do? How long are you going to wait? Elvin Mobley is he ever going to be but so good? Because when a guy gets to you, there's no guarantee a guy just keeps getting better and better, and he's a guy where he could be the number 2 guy on a championship team. He might just be a really quality defender, and then we've seen Jared Allen. He can wear down in the postseason, so they got to fit, and he makes a good amount of salary. I like with the Cavs. I like them saying, "Hey, let's go get Harden and see." During the regular season, he's giving them a shot in the arm, but then come playoffs, he needs to take a back seat.
Gotcha. Sean, are you there? You might step away for a minute. Yeah, like I said, I don't have any confidence. Like I said, we've run the script before, and I just can't see him being able to certainly deliver in a big spot. So, but the thing now is, especially again at 36, can you stay healthy? He's not necessarily in the best condition to begin with, and now you're going to start getting these nagging injuries and whatnot. If that's going to certainly hold him down, that's even more so. So, that's going to be something that we just have to watch. But certainly the East is heating up. Like I said, Celtics, they're really starting to come into their own. I mean, despite their loss of Jason Tatum. But they're certainly starting to round in shape. So credit to the organization for keeping it going. A couple of just quick hits before we move into the NFL. These are just fun things I'd like to kind of throw around, and also to the chat also. So I'd like to kind of introduce these here. So I got two questions for you. So here's you got on the left. So pick your starting 5 and your bench, and then again, Game 7, 1 point game, 3 seconds left. Who you putting the ball's hands into at this point? So this is the part. I think I just have a couple of these quick hitters we don't have to necessarily expound on, but you just take a shot. So Dante. Okay, so you're starting 5, and who's on the bench?
I'm trying to remember the starting 5 I had in chat. I think my bench is going to be. I think my bench is going to be Iverson. It's going to be Iverson, Dirk, and Bird. I'm going with Shaq, KD, Mike at the 3, Kobe at the 2, Steph at the point.
Oh, you're gonna play Jordan at the 3?
Yeah, I play Jordan at the 3.
Gotcha.
He's big. He's a little bigger than Kobe.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. My bench, honestly, and again, even though I'm the resident Celtic fan, I may have to go with Bird also. Certainly a bench and AI. I just don't think that him and Jordan would necessarily go well. I think Steph would be a much better pick. So again, but I'm having Steph and Jordan as my guards. I'm gonna have KD as my 3. I'll have Dirk at the 4 and Shaq at the 5. I don't think you necessarily play without Shaq in the middle, but yeah, I'm going big, and I'm going with those guys. But I just think Kobe too much of a ball hog for me, and same thing with Iverson. Will they distribute the ball? But I don't need Kobe taking 30 40 shots a game, especially with MJ in the game. So I'm gonna I'll put Kobe on the bench. So again, Steph, MJ, KD, Dirk, and Shaq is my starting 5, and the others are other guys on the bench. Shawnee, how about you as far as pick your starting 5, who's on the bench?
Well, let me blow the screen up so I can see the players better. So, starting 5 will be, okay, I need a point guard. Well, I have to put Steph. Steph will create matchup nightmares for anybody. So Steph will be at the 1. Jordan will be at the 2. Easy Shaq at the 5. I put KD and Dirk. It's 3 and 4.
Yeah. Says same here. I think Iverson and Kobe, I just don't think they gel well. They just require too much of the ball in your hands. But when you have these kind of as great as the players that these are, you got to distribute the ball more. So I would certainly go better with that. But so who's taking the last shot? Game 7, 1-point game, 3 seconds left. I'm picking Bird. Now I am going to show my homer tendencies. I'm picking Bird.
I'm doing the same thing. I'm doing the same thing as Mama.
Jordan, I'm pretty sure Jordan will take the last shot because he won't get the ball to nobody.
No, he did give it to Paxson. Give him credit that first championship he did dish to Paxson for the winning shot. He will do it, but I mean he'll certainly draw attention to himself. But Bird's just like give him the ball, get out the way, and just give him the shot. So I'll definitely I'll take that. A couple more quick, this is like the lightning round here. So here we have on the NFL side and even in the sports perspective, top 10 quarterbacks never to win a Super Bowl. All right, so you got quite a number of guys here with certainly Dan Marino certainly being at the top of that list. I don't know. I would probably say Jim Kelly because he went to 4 of them. You had 4 cracks at the apple, and he couldn't get it done. Dan Marino had that one magical year in '84, and he couldn't really even get there since. So I may pick Jim Kelly off this list, and because he had more shots at it. That some of those guys never might have gotten there, but then they didn't even make it. Warren Moon never made it to a Super Bowl, so that'd be my pick off of this one. And then in terms of ringless greats, the 25 players that never won a championship, I agree. I would certainly give. Honestly, this is kind of tough for me because I think I'll pick Bonds at number 1 as far as one never to win one, and but I might have to move. And Barkley got real close. He just couldn't get past Jordan. That was his. That was his thing, but he definitely, I think, should have had one. But some of the guys towards the end there, maybe not as much. But your thoughts, any quick thoughts on this before we move more into the into the NFL? Your thoughts on this list, or would you shuffle some guys around? Anybody you think needs to be moved up on the list in terms of players who should have had a championship but unfortunately didn't. What are your thoughts on this one?
I don't know. I think Bonds being the top one just because of how great he is, especially since baseball more than any sport. It's about the statistical dominance and him, 7 MVPs and just how like that 2002 series, he was gonna if they won, he was gonna win the World Series MVP. And it's just like, man, he finally got the best shot he ever had at it, and the Angels won, and so he's certainly my number one. Of the list, I mean, I'm not mad at it. I think I'd probably put I put Barry Sanders pretty high up there as well, just because of how feudal he was and how great he was. He's pretty high. I got Moss pretty high up there, which that's another point with Moss. Like sometimes when people, and I got to talk about my generation of millennials. Sometimes when we try to uplift him over a Jerry Rice, I gotta tell you, man, can y'all go look at his stats in some of those playoff games and how it was it's almost like he didn't show up. So it's like that's one that ain't trying to for me. Yeah, Eric Dickerson is one of my faves.
See, I can't. He never had he had Dieter Brock as his quarterback. He wasn't winning anything.
He wasn't winning anything.
He wasn't. Not with Dieter Brock.
But yeah, I'd say like that. I'd say the Chris is pretty good. You can kind of move him around. I mean, obviously, controversy aside, we understand the situation about Malone being up there. It's just, we don't really talk about him anymore. But like him and Stockton might need to be side by side, honestly.
Yeah. There's just a lot of these guys around 12. It's like Elgin Baylor. I mean, he had to go up against those 60s Celtic teams. They lost every year. It was Celtics and Lakers. And he had Jerry West and those guys. But, I mean, the Celtics were like every one of their stars like Hall of Famer. You know what I mean? So that was just you just weren't getting past that. So, him I probably feel the most for. Because, again, he just went up against that wall every year. They just couldn't get past that.
He's so dominant. So dominant. Like, you go and look at it like, that's the one thing. I can't have Bo that high. Honestly.
He had the most potential. He might be one of the most tragic. Him and like Gale Sayers, I'd say the most tragic because, again, he had Hall of Fame just kind of written on him. Like he was going to be that dude, but that hip injury and it was over. So that was unfortunate. I don't even think we saw him at his best. You know what I mean? I think he was just getting into his stride in terms of his NFL career. But again, that was
he played his best football in college.
Yeah, for sure. Let's move on to the NFL. So again, we missed out on this last week, but we kind of talk about these together. So again, it's obviously the trading free agency starts in the NFL on March 11th, and so obviously you're going to have some big names out there on the trading block. So obviously, certainly the Dolphins. Basically, the Dolphins are cleaning house at this point, and so they got rid of Tyreek Hill, and certainly that freed up $22.8 million against their cap. So again, but he does turn 32 on March 1st, so he's older. But I'm not sure if he's the elite wide receiver that he was before. But then you also got AJ Brown. He's certainly on the block as well. So as far as these two guys, what do you think they may land? I mean, I think certainly a reunion for Tyreek with Kansas City, especially that they got Eric Bieniemy back. That makes sense. I don't know if they want to deal with the drama, though, because he is a drama queen. Again, a lot of teams, they will deal with a lot of stuff if you produce. But with his age and just with all the other things that have gone on, I don't know if he could be that guy. So shout out to Alexis from Texas. He's like, we don't want him. You don't want to get the band back together?
Y'all need him. I mean, be honest. Y'all
who else you guys got down there? You got the speedster guy down there, but you don't have a lot of options.
What's the name was about to get? He's about to get suspended. He's potentially to get suspended because his ex-girlfriend is doing a case against him, and so it's not a criminal one. So they're going to be able to go and talk about the details. And once they go in and unpack those claims, you're looking at an exemption list. So don't be so quick to be like, what you don't want, beggars can't be choosers. You are coming off of a season in which you did not perform how you needed. I think that's a perfect marriage as far as I was listening to some guys from the local station here at 105.3, and they were like, I'm listening to people in the league, no buzz around them, only one G defender to.
Uh-oh. You good? We can't hear you. You muted. You still muted.
Come back in, Dante.
Yeah, you might have to go off and come back in. All right, go ahead, Shawnee. So between,
I still think Tyreek Hill could be one of the most. People forget how dangerous of a receiver he was. Dude's speed was just game changing. I think he was one of the most feared receivers during his time, especially with KC. And he's coming off the knee injury, but if he is able to get back at that, and he able to, because they have been talking him and KC, if he is able to get back to them, they can. It just depends on how he's able to recover back from his injury. When he was with Miami, that was, I think, more of Tua. Aside the fact that he was dealing with his injuries, Tua was just, he had that one good season where it looked like Tyreek and Tua was going to be a hell of a connection with each other. And then once his concussions started happening, we never saw that Tua again.
Mm.
And then after, while Tua was out, just the level of quarterback just drops with the backup that was putting in there. So that alone basically took Tyreek Hill's game out of people's minds. And then he got hurt. So with A.J. Brown, as good as a receiver as he is, with A.J., it's just, dude, winning does not make him happy per se. Maybe, I guess, if you constantly feed him the ball, but he was on a team that was doing a lot of winning, and he was still having issues somewhere or another.
Mm-hmm.
So you just have to deal with a dude who's just always moping around and stuff. Like, man, what's wrong with you? We winning, And the way people try to explain it with AJ, he's a receiver that he knows he has a skill set to be great, and he wants to be great. Okay, that's perfectly fine, perfectly understandable, except that, dude, the whole objective is to win. He wants to dominate, like the TOs and the Moss did during their time and majority of the games that they played. He wants to be on that level where he wants to dominate DBs and stuff in that nature. And maybe because we all know with the Philly, I think because Hurts just wasn't that type of quarterback, the Eagles wasn't that type of an air raid offense. And I think that's why it surprised teams when Hurts did that, in Super Bowls or late, in some post-season games, where all of a sudden he had these 300-plus yard passes and just airing it out all of a sudden, when most of the time they ground and pound or, low to short to mid-range game. But I think if Brown goes to a quarterback who is I don't want to say a gunslinger, because gunslinger to me is just a quarterback who just throws the ball, including interceptions.
Mm-hmm.
But just a quarterback who isn't afraid to attack through the air. I think he would get his numbers. That can definitely be KC. I just think if Tyreek can, because they know what to expect from Tyreek. He left them because he was searching for the contract money. He wasn't going to get it at KC. He got it in Miami. So other than that, they would have been cool keeping him. But he wanted his money, so they said, okay, go get your money. And he knows them. They know him. Of course, he got to get some of this, whatever he got going off the field, that lady. I don't know. But I think if he's able to come back whole, I think he'll remind people just how terrifying of a receiver he is. His speed is game-breaking.
Mm-hmm.
You put that dude in an open field, you see, like, defense have to scheme and making sure they put at least two dudes, because one dude can't cover him. He's too fast.
You talking about Tyreek, man?
Yeah, Tyreek.
But again,
like,
ACL, knee, ACL injury. I mean, that's
that's what I'm saying. If he's able to make a complete comeback from those injuries, with them knee injuries, you just don't know. Many times, a player do come back 100% from that, but it's like maybe year 2 or 3. Because that first year coming back from those knee injuries, they have to get over the mental block. Their knee is healed, but they don't. I don't want to put this pressure. I don't want to make these cuts. So that first season after a knee, but then after, cause I think that's what happened with the Cowboys running back, Williams. Remember, he came off a bad knee injury. In his first year, I believe he came back with the Broncos. He was okay that he had a better season this year. That's why he got a new contract with the Cowboys. But sometimes it just takes that second or third year after a knee injury to break that mental scab, per se.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that may happen with Tyreek. Well, if he could come back, even at his age, the dude, he is a nightmare for a secondary.
Well, that's a lot to say for a 32-year-old of any position, wide receiver, running back, or what have you. So he would definitely be breaking the averages, because again, by the time you hit 30, even as wide receiver, certainly your value starts to diminish a little bit. So again, hopefully he can recover. But again, my thing is just the drama, though. And again, a lot of these diva
KC, he had more drama in Miami.
Didn't it? All that stuff with his partner or his domestic partner or wife or whatever, wasn't that in KC? Or was that Miami?
That was majority. I think majority of his stuff happened while he was in Miami. I remember he had something that happened to him in college. KC, for the most part, it was all about ball. And then stuff just started happening more in Miami.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's just that lifestyle of Miami.
I mean, he's definitely not I put it this way, he's not a $30 million receiver anymore, that's for sure. So, again, if he wants to go back to Bieniemy and Mahomes, and if he can, come in on the cheap, I think that's it. Now, if he can ball after this injury, then he can renegotiate to get a little bit more money. But I can't see him. He's definitely not top dollar anymore. Not at 32. Not at coming off of that injury, and so I can't see it happening. But even AJ Brown now again seemed like one of the favorites. If he doesn't stay with the Eagles, the Patriots are looking at his team. I think certainly that would be that wouldn't be a bad spot for him. Drake may obviously use more targets. He could have used more targets in that Super Bowl that he was in. So, so that could be a likely destination for him as well. They have certainly the biggest odds of getting him outside of him staying with the Eagles. But I think, I don't know where the state of that relationship is right now.
What are they going to do with Stefan Diggs?
Stephon, all that stuff, all that drama that happened after the Super Bowl, plus doesn't he have a case that's also pending?
Yeah, he got a case he got a case and paternity cases. He got a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah. Well, sure. Yeah.
One
thing about AJ Brown, his skill set was up there with the elite receivers. He's moody, I guess. We don't really understand why.
Well, we know. So I found out one of the reasons why. So I was listening to local guys, and they were saying like, hey, they talked around and said what the issue is in Philly is they can't move Jalen Hurts' contract. And as much as the Jalen Hurts hive loves him and worships him, there's some things that are true about him where it's just like, hey, you're supposed to play the offense like this, but since he's untouchable, ring and all, he said, nah, we're just gonna do it this way. And so he's zagging when they're telling him to zig, and it's just like, no, that's how it goes. He's like, you can't do much to him. And obviously AJ Brown, who was right about it, but he was right about the things that he said and the way things happened, but he didn't perform what he needed to perform. So he doesn't really have a standing leg to stand on to a lot of people, Eagles fans.
Okay. Pause this right here. All right, we're gonna bookmark it. We're gonna come back to this. Okay, we're gonna come back to this in a few minutes. All right. So just keep that same energy. We're gonna come back to this in a few minutes. All right. Let's move on in the discussion conversation. So again, we also have not only have these wide receivers, and it'll be interesting what happens on March 11 with these guys. You have a slew of quarterbacks who may be looking for new destinations and homes. So again, today I think you just had Kirk Cousins just got released, and then I even heard your old guy Andy Dalton's on the trading block for a potential team. 15 years in him and Kirk Cousins. I got to give him, these are like the GOAT quarterbacks. How these guys been able to maintain 15 years for Andy Dalton, the red, what do they call him, the red-headed, the red rifle. 15-year career in the league, never won a Super Bowl like Joe Flacco or whatever, but he stays employed. I got to give it to him. And then Kirk, he's the greatest of all time. But so you got Kirk, you got your guy Stroud. Now again, I saw this article today from the Score. So again, your GM is adamant of Stroud staying there. Now I know Shawnee, you've been very down on Stroud this third year. You were expecting a lot of growth from him. He regressed quite a bit. He had even though he beat the Steelers beat themselves, but certainly he had a win over Steelers, but he looked awful. Had a lot of turnovers, and but this GM seems to be committed to Stroud when you know he's about to get paid. So I don't know, that maybe you might want to take a look at the target. Now again, Tua, I don't know if anyone's want to touch him. Murray, he's out there, and then but the biggest one is QB from Green Bay that he might be, he's looking at maybe $30 million a year. It's the Steelers. He's in the black. If Aaron Rodgers doesn't come back, he's a leading candidate for the Steelers to go and get him from Green Bay. But again, you got Cousins. He's always floating around there trying to get a stop. So first of all, what are your thoughts, Shawnee, on the Texas GM Casiero basically sticking with Stroud? Good idea, bad idea? Should they unload now before they got to pay him all this money?
Well, my thing about Stroud, they definitely in the Casiero article came out. The Texans are committed to Stroud. My whole thing is because Stroud he is a free agent after the 2027 year, so he has this year coming up. Then he's eligible for the 5th-year option, and then he's a free agent. My whole thing is they have to make their decision by the time he is trying to get that second contract, which is for a quarterback is going to be monster. And my whole thing is I have not seen anything from Stroud saying that they should give him this second contract. I don't want them to cut him right now. No, because right now you're gonna put yourself in. No, he's still a young quarterback. You still have to see what he can do. My thing.
Oh, it's Malik Willis is the guy who's that teams are starting to court right now. They were impressed with his effort. I think he played 6 games so far, but the people, he looked good in his last 2 games he played while Love was hurt. So now I know the Steelers are, certainly interested. Again, assuming if Rodgers doesn't come back, he's a top target there. But certainly, and then certainly with the Cardinals with Murray, that situation is very good either. So I just wanted to clarify that. But I'm sorry. Go ahead, Shawnee. I didn't want to cut you off.
Yeah, but for Stroud, my whole thing was about it. I saw him, and I was telling people as the season goes, I was even felt about this last year. I'm like, because he came out the block so hot his first year, so people are like, oh, Stroud is the next big thing coming up because he just breaking like rookie records and stuff. But then his second, he hit that sophomore wall or whatever you want to call it that second season. But he had people giving him the benefit of the doubt because his offensive line was below average. So it was like, okay, they was looking past all his issues, just kept focusing on the line. And even though I'm looking at it, I'm like, okay, the line is one thing, but I'm watching the game, I'm looking at the quarterback's decision making, his timing, all of that. But the line was bad, okay. And you saw the Texans believe that as well, because they literally almost, I think they changed like 60 to 80% of that line. Traded players, release and whatnot, and almost put a whole brand new line in front of him last season. And although they were still a below average line, they was pretty decent when you look into the more analytical stats when it comes to offensive line. And as far as pass blocking, they had a pretty decent pass blocking percentage. And I remember I was watching that. I was like, okay, he has a pocket, but he's rushed. He's rushed, and he kept overthrowing his passes, missing receivers when they was wide open, throwing it to another receiver who was potentially double covered, and he was just all over the place. And I was mentioning that. I was like, okay, this dude he's regressing right before our eyes. And everybody kept, oh, it's the offensive line, or it's the offensive coordinator. So everybody kept blaming it, pointing the finger at everybody else instead of looking at Stroud. Then the playoffs came. And the same things I was seeing during the regular season, the whole football world saw it on the playoff. They got lucky with the Steelers because the defense showed up and showed out. but he did the same exact thing with the Patriots. They couldn't overcome that. So my whole thing is, okay, let him play this year, because we have to see. Because I'm curious to see, is this dude really on this slide from his rookie season? I don't know what happened, but he just fell off. Third year, we're gonna really see if his fourth year, we're gonna really see him and see if he can improve. Because they keep the same offensive coordinator. You know, he was catching flack, but yeah, keep him, let him play his fourth season, and hell, even pick up the option, because once you decide to make that quarterback move, that's an unknown. You're gonna go into the abyss. You don't know how long you're gonna be in there. Mm-hmm. So let him play until his whole rookie contract ends. Even pick up that option, but he better show something before that second contract comes. At that time, because now you're gonna be looking at yourself like the Cowboys and all the Greek. You know, everybody kept looking at, is Dak worth this much money? Dak's shown more consistent basis than Stroud has. All Stroud has is one season, and he's been going downhill since then. If he continues to play like that, no, I don't think they should give him a second contract. But the thing about the Texans that don't surprise me, what they've shown to me, they are very loyal. Like D'Amico and Cesario, they're very loyal. So they don't like to make, which I commend them for, because I always say don't listen to fans. Do not construct your team based on a fan's emotion. They'll have a player fired by the week 6 of the NFL season. So if you made your commitment in Stroud, see that commitment through. But when you come, especially the quarterback position, and they could potentially take up, what is it, Dante? About 20 to 30% of your cap on that second.
Somewhere in there. Yeah.
If he could potentially take up that much of your cap, you better damn sure make sure he's your franchise quarterback.
Well, that's the thing. I don't know if he is. I mean, look. They say this is a win now. This is a win now league. You already got a hellacious defense. You got some decent weapons on offense. If he's not the guy, why not a reunion with Kyler Murray, who both you guys said is arguably the greatest quarterback that ever came out of Texas? What if Kyler Murray, they trade for Murray, bring him to Texas, bring him back home, and let's see what he can do? I mean, Dante, what's your thoughts on it? Are you buying or selling on C.J. Stroud, and what would your thoughts be if they decide to make a move and bring Murray into Houston?
I don't have a lot of confidence at Murray right now at the pro level. Like, it's kind of like he has fantastic talent, but it's just like when they got questions about your studying and things like that, and like how you're playing, and like literally one of those deals to where like we saw George Pickens play better with a different quarterback when he got to Dallas, but we seen that the guy we thought Marvin Harrison Jr. was gonna beat, we see him showing flashes with Jacoby Brissett, but with you it's just like, he's kind of middling. So I don't know if that's the option. Honestly, I think the Texans, they're kind of stuck, but the only way they can get permanently stuck is by giving him a contract extension. Unless he's going to take a low ball extension, then I wouldn't do it. I would just pick up his fifth-year option, let him play it out, and then give him the opportunity to be like, look, if you want to make a lot of money, I'm going to let you hit the free agent market if you don't play, or I'm going to give you a new deal. Either way, you're going to cash out. And I would say, hey, we're going to play it out like that. And next offseason, that's when, like this offseason, you try to get your picks in place. And next offseason, if need be, then you go and find a quarterback. At least you might bring in.
Did y'all see Kyler Murray's numbers? I mean, when he's healthy, he's not bad. He's a 67.1% completion record. He's a 2-time Pro Bowler. I mean, yes, this last year he has some he has some injuries. But I mean, considering Stroud the last 2 years, you can make an argument that Kyler, even with all of that, is still outplaying C.J. Stroud. He had the one great rookie year. But more consistently, Murray has been more consistent. So again, I'm not gonna not poo-poo that. If the Cardinals want to make me an offer, you bring Murray, who, as you guys said, the greatest quarterback that ever came out of Texas. You bring him to Houston. that could be a buzz that, you could really pump some excitement in. But I'm looking at his numbers. He hasn't been that bad for his career.
I mean, if you look at his career
I
wise,
thought
I
he was
think
going to be good.
Murray is better, but you kind of, unless everybody gonna be expecting the Sam Darnold situation, you put him in a situation with a better team, with a better quarterback situation. Also, he would explode on the scene. I don't necessarily see the Texans as that. So, it's not like I don't see him exploding with the Texans because they got they offensive coordinator coming into his second year. Their head coach he's a defensive coach. So they still kind of trying to find a footing when it comes to quarterback development or having a high-powered offense. Murray, I think by far he's going to cost more right now because Stroud's still in his rookie deal. But my whole thing is, one, the Texans, like I said, they're loyal, so they're not going to make a move like that. One, and they really trying to give Stroud. You really want to see what your own homegrown player, especially the quarterback position. It's not like Stroud is looking like what's his name, the quarterback who used to be for the Jets.
You talking about Sam Darnold or Justin Fields?
Not even who the other one after Darnold? Zach.
Are you talking about Zach Wilson?
Yeah.
Zach Wilson.
Stroud is not on Zach Wilson's level. He's shown some promise. We just have to get him back to that.
I don't know. He's becoming a turnover machine.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Let him play out his contract. Let Murray go where Murray go. But right now, you got to try to figure out. Because what you don't want to do is you don't want to give up on a young quarterback too young.
So now how about Alexis? She's a prisoner of the moment because she's a KC fan.
Patrick Mahomes is our greatest export as a quarterback. We're talking about only on the high school level. He won. I don't think he ever lost a game. He won 3 straight championships. That's what we're talking at the highest level again, which is 6A. A lot of future NFL guys and things that he won college athletes. Patrick Mahomes, one of my favorite quarterbacks. That's why it's crazy that Mr. Bennett puts the Lamar Jackson label on me. I'd say my favorite quarterback outside of Dak Prescott is Patrick Mahomes.
You guys could fool me. You guys could fool me. You guys could fool me. But speaking of, actually, that's a great segue. Speaking of your guy, all right? So, again, we got drama in Baltimore, right? So you got the OC putting him on now. From what I understand, I didn't even know this. Lamar has a test. He doesn't attend OTAs. Now you got he had all that freedom with Harbaugh. You got a new coach. You got a new OC. And he's basically, is he going to show up for OTAs or not? Chad Johnson on him in Unk's show. They were going out. Chad went off. Talking about you don't do that to your starting. He's just starting QB and all this kind of stuff. But what this is telling me that no one's held Lamar accountable. So for all the stuff that you guys talk about with MVPs and all this other kind of stuff, I heard that little shade that you gave to the Philly QB. I heard that, Dante. You were throwing shade at him again, even though he is a Super Bowl champion. He's been to two Super Bowls, by the way. I heard the slight in your voice, but now here's your boy. Here's your boy, right? And you got a new regime. You would think it would be in his best interest to get acclimated with the new system, with the new coaches and everything, if he's still going to have this attitude that he doesn't go to OTAs. So is it going to be on him or the team or whatnot? You can't necessarily, because you guys want to pass blame to everybody else. But at what point are you going to hold Lamar accountable? So keep that same energy that you have for Jalen Hurts. Keep that same energy now.
Well, when you get paid the contract that you get paid, you have to make sacrifices. There's some quarterbacks that, because of where they are, not only do they show up to OTAs, they put a football field in their house. Looking at you, Dak Prescott. Lamar needs to get some of that. Lamar needs to, not only does he needs to get them, hey, if you want to spend time in Florida, he needs to get them to schedule the OTAs in a certain way. And then when they're not in the OTAs, fly those guys to Florida with you and come let them go work out in that Florida sun so you can get acclimated. I'm 100% with you. I didn't know he did that. When you know the system and it's been there with Harbaugh, don't have a problem with it. You would love him to be there, but he's not. But with the salary he makes and the leadership thing, new coach, if you get the top dog to go in line, so Mr. Bennett, I know you're throwing the jab. I agree with you. He got to be there. His ass got to be there. Now, next year, we'll get to next year and next year. But this year 1 with the new regime, with the hot defensive coordinator that people wanted, he's going to fix the defense. Who's going to fix the offense? You, Lamar. You and the new OC are going to fix the offense. And whoever's going to get the offensive line together, he's got to be there. 100%. Like if I'm gonna critique, are you right? If I'm gonna critique Hurts for his rubbing people the wrong way in the organization and being like, hey, he's above reproach and you can't be nope. Same with Lamar. You got to show up to OTAs and get it going. 100%.
Gotcha. Shawnee?
These OTAs are voluntary.
What difference does it make?
Well, no, because a lot of players I heard when it comes to like the voluntary OTAs, they will make a big deal about it. Oh, this is just optional. This is optional.
Hang on. You're the CEO of the offense.
I know
you're the leader of the team.
From the time that
you should set the example.
I know that, but from times I heard from players of the past, whenever they hear about the media starts getting on a player, and it comes to it's not mandatory OTAs or the voluntary OTAs, they will, hey, why it's optional? He shouldn't have to be there, and all this case. So I just want to put, yes, if you're a quarterback, especially if your team is turning over a new leaf, coaching and all this, you need to be there for.
Got to lead from the front. You got to lead from the front.
Exactly.
If this is how they do things, like for example, okay, I'm a Rockets fan. Same stuff was like that with Harden. When it was Harden and the front office that was there, Daryl Morey and crew. They gave him a lot of leeway. But then all of a sudden, when the new owner came and the new GM, they want to switch up. Harden didn't want to really play by their rules or whatnot. All of a sudden, bought the fat suit, because I don't know how fast he was able to get that off, but he got the fat suit, got himself traded from the team. I don't know how Lamar is really going to go about, because the season really haven't started yet. I mean, this is just OTAs. Let me see how training camp and all the mandatory OTAs, how this come through, and see how he gels. Because I always felt like, because we know how Lamar came out of college. He was a great athlete coming out of college, and in the NFL, if you're a great athlete at the quarterback position coming into the NFL, there are going to be many head coaches who want to put you in a different position. Or they're going to expect you to play a certain style of quarterback that they want. They're going to try to fit this round hole in a square, round peg in a square hole. And it just don't work like that. Well, when he got to Baltimore, Harbaugh gave him the ability to be himself. So he had it good then, and I forgot what the exact details on what happened. But I think because I heard players was having some issue a little bit with Harbaugh, certain things. They tried to have Lamar go talk to Harbaugh about it, and he did. But Harbaugh, old school coach, you go play, I coach, basically do his way, and that kind of, rubbed him the wrong way. But it's going to be, we can definitely be looking at this as the season goes to see how he, his relationship goes with this new head coach and whatnot, and the expectations the head coach have. Because I believe this head coach used to be like a defensive coach somewhere on the Ravens staff back in the day, so they know each other. But now it's different. He's the head coach now. So
exactly. So now the responsibility falls on him. But I think Lamar, just so there's no friction between now and OTAs and training camp, something to tell them they're gonna meet somewhere in the middle. I think he is gonna show up for OTAs just so he doesn't try to be seen as a distraction. That might be the best thing for him to do. Come to OTAs, talk to the head coach privately, let him know, hey, you know how I do things. You know I don't really do OTAs. I always come to training camp in shape and ready to play, so on and so forth. But right now, Lamar has to understand, like you said, Shawnee, you got a new offensive coordinator. So you got to learn the system now. And OTAs and these mini camps and everything else is the time for you to start understanding this new playbook, understanding this new system, see how it goes. That way, come training camp, you make sure everything's fine, polished, and good to go. That way, once the season starts, no fans or buts about it. Either you know the system or you don't.
Mm.
So I think he's going to come just so he doesn't cause a distraction.
Right.
And I think he's going to find a way to meet with the coach. Say again?
Okay, and he's trying to get that new extension. So if you want that extension, I need you to be, you got to be, Johnny, you got to be,
That's
hey,
it.
come.
All right, so black man, so bookmark this segment also. I'm a hold both of these guys accountable for what they're saying. All right, down the line. So I'm just saying we're gonna come back and visit this. But let's get out of here because I want to spend the latter part of the show talking about the hockey. But real quick for you Dallas fans. So you got your boy trying to reset the market. So you got Brandon Aubrey. He wants $10 million. You paying it? You paying or not? He's trying to say that the current leader is Harrison Bucker. He's making $6.4 million. But actually Dallas is offering him 6.4, which would exceed Harrison Buckner's. But he's looking for 10. You buying or selling?
Well,
I'm not buying it. I heard it was 7.5. I heard they offered him 7.5. But then Todd France put a tweet out there and he was just like, I haven't even met with the Joneses yet. He showed a picture of the bus that Jerry has and said, hey, I look forward to our meeting. So it's kind of like, I think they put that $10 million out there. They didn't get a good reaction. And so now it's just like, hey, we didn't say that.
I got you. Shawnee, you buying it going or it's just a smoke screen? You think they get the deal done?
Well, okay, so I'll put it like this. I was debating people online about this today. You know, salary cap as a whole in the NFL is going up. Right now, Brandon Aubrey is a weapon. He's one of the top 2 kickers in the NFL. Right now in the NFL, we are seeing, I think a lot of people still have the mindset of like the early 2000s or 90s, whatnot, as far as you're just a kicker. You down there on the lowest on the totem pole, per se. But we are seeing so many games being influenced by kickers in today's NFL. I mean, it's one position where you get a kicker. He may not be on the field as much as his teammates, but you definitely will feel his impact probably more than anybody because he literally can cost you, win your games and lose your games based off his foot alone. So once you have that weapon, you need to especially because it's one thing to be a kicker. What makes Brandon Aubrey so special is because he's accurate, and he's almost even more accurate, between 50 and 60 yards. This dude is a weapon no matter where you put him on the field.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, okay, I already know that you want this 10 mil or whatever the reports are, but just think how it would be. Because I've seen teams, you get a kicker and they shaky. Next thing you know, and they have to either get the ball in the red zone just so you can kick a field goal, or will literally pass up an opportunity to kick a game-winning field because they don't trust their kicker. And that's when they ultimately start losing games because it's a whole lot. I know the kicker in Jacksonville, he's the golden goose now because he has the longest kick. But him and Brandon Aubrey go one for one with each other. Mm. And to me, I would say if they coming in with a hard line of 10 mil, especially what we've seen him as the Cowboys, I will potentially pay him because I know how life is going to be if you take him off the team.
Yeah.
Good luck in trying to find a player who could do 60 to 70% of what he can do. Next thing you know, not only you already got to try to find all these pieces on defense.
Yeah, Shotty, that's my objection. My objection is if it's 10 mil, hey, I'm not with that because hey, I'm cool if you go 8.5 because like you said, he's a weapon. And my thing is you sign a longer term deal. Oh, when the cap goes up, I'm cool with that. But just looking at this defense and seeing that, like, hey, I love the Javonte Williams contract. Good
Yeah.
value. Earn a guy, that's the guy plays the game the right way. Runs, catches, blocks, cool. But then I'm going to pay my kicker 10 mil. What I'm paying the quarterback. I kind of look at that in my defense over here, looking like, man, we got some needs. I don't know. I'm hoping they work a deal out. But if not, a team like resource wise, I wouldn't trip if they put the second round tender on him.
Mm.
And
I think it may come down to this. I think 8 mil. I think that's a number to settle on.
I think that's good.
That's a good offer. Right?
If you take, like I say, because today's games are so influenced by field goal kickers, you take a good one away, you will immediately feel it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm saying, okay.
Remember Brett Maher?
Yeah.
At the end, he was missing the extra points in the freaking playoff game.
Yeah.
And this is like you got a playoff game next week, and this guy's smoking.
I'm sure you guys still got the. I'm sure you guys are still reeling over the Green Bay playoff game a few years ago with the curved kick. They curved it, it was going out, and it curved back in. So I know you guys still smart over that one too.
It's a position where people don't want to give. You don't want to give a kicker that type of a money, but when you take that kick, and I see Big Ruck, he just don't want to give him the 10. He's hard.
But I think that's a fair. But the crazy thing about it is, it's like kickers are starting to set the market more than running backs, right? You don't get running backs getting $10 million contracts anymore. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, but it's who would have thought that the kicking position would out earn the running back position in the NFL? So that's just baffling.
And I make this last point about it. Because remember back in the day, kickers, when were they drafted? After the sixth,
seventh round. Yeah, I mean,
exactly.
it was or you didn't have it at all. They just came. You had open tryout.
Now they so highly valuable. Now they are starting to get drafted like before the 5th round if they believe that they are that type of kicker because their value is so increased because teams are like for the
kickoff rules. The kickoff rules. You get that kick.
Exactly.
You get 2 first downs. And if you got what's the guy from Cam Little, the guy over there in Jacksonville, you get a couple of first downs. It puts a lot of pressure on the defense. So I understand it from a scheme standpoint, but in 2 years, I wouldn't trip on 10 mil because the way the cap goes up. That's funny money. Like the cap is going up. Like I think 30 million is off season. So 10 million might not be.
That's why I say okay, you can afford the 10 because the cap is going up. It'd be ridiculous, but the cap is going up, so you're going to start seeing more positions making more money than they ever before because the cap as a whole is going up. So I think people got to remember that. It's not the same cap. It's growing. So, okay, that cap is growing. Potentially a kicker's contract will grow.
For sure.
Definitely. Once the new fiscal year starts, that's basically what's going to happen.
There you go. Just real quick, not going to spend too much time on this because it's coming up. Again, I'm a combine guy. So again, tomorrow is when the things start. Obviously, they've been having meetings with the players and physicals and all that kind of stuff leading up to this point already. Started this week, but tomorrow is defensive linemen, linebackers, and kickers. To the point earlier, now the kickers are starting to get love in the combine. Then on Friday, defensive backs and tight ends. Saturday, quarterbacks, wide receivers, and running backs, and then on March 1 is offensive linemen. So certainly looking forward to that. Maybe next show we can talk about what we saw from the combine, and also what I really wanted to talk about was our draft needs. Based on but the Cowboys, what you guys looking at, the Jets. Anton, sorry, y'all just need new ownership. So I don't think a draft is going to fix that.
I'm not going to admit that. Woody Johnson
So that's what the draft isn't going to help you guys much. Y'all need new owners.
I know. Honestly, Woody Johnson, it seems like ever since Woody Johnson bought the team, it's been a dumpster fire from day one. I remember hearing stories about some players, guys who didn't get a chance to play who got hurt. And you know how some owners will check on guys, say, hey, how you doing? What's going on? Is everything all right? So on and so forth. one particular player, remember why he was rehabbing an injury, Woody Johnson came to see him in the training room, talked to him and everything else, and then asked him, so when are you coming back onto the field? Because you're costing us some money and this, that, and the other. He was more concerned about him being an investment than as a well-being. And when you get something like that, or when you hear something like that as a player, it makes you wonder, why am I playing for this guy?
Yeah, it's crazy. All right, let's move to the next, last. I really want to give some time to this block also for Anton to really give some credit. Because, again, I admit I'm probably the least of the hockey fans here. Like I said, I do get into the Olympic hockey. I do. I think it's a better game. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, Anton, the rink is larger in Olympic hockey than it is in the NHL. At least that was the way it was for a while, unless they changed it.
It was for a period of time. The standard NHL rink is 200 feet long, 85 feet wide. The international rink is 200 feet long and 100 feet wide.
Yeah.
Now, the IIHF is looking to make the rink a little bit smaller because they realize in a smaller rink makes it easier to watch the game. Mm-hmm. What happened was, when the Olympics were in Vancouver in 2010, the games were played at GM Place, which is the home rink to the Vancouver Canucks. So the IIHL had to make an exception to have the games played on an NHL-sized rink. And when they saw how it was done, they realized, okay, it's a lot better. And the last time an Olympic Games were played on an NHL-sized rink, surprisingly, was the last Olympics in Beijing. It was 200 feet long, 85 feet wide. Right now, they're looking at hybrid dimensions like 197 by 92 or 197 by 98. They're looking to make the rink a little bit smaller. And if you notice as well, they're actually taking the pages from the NHL. They got the trapezoid behind the goal net. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so now that's the designated location where goalies can play the puck. Anything behind the goal line is a delay of game penalty. So I got a feeling within the next couple of years, the international game is going to be playing on the same size rink as the NHL. And I think a few of the reasons is, one, you have a lot of European players coming to play here in North America, so it makes it easier for them to adapt. Two, they saw what happened in both 2010 and 2022 and saw how the action was and realized it was a whole lot better. Mm. So something tells me within the next few years, you're going to see them start playing on NHL-sized rinks for the full-time and the international game. And the only time they really play on an NHL-sized rink in North America and is accepted is usually for World Juniors, and that's usually either in Canada or here in the States. That's the only time they make that exception, because all the rinks here are 200 by 85 with the exception of a few locations.
Right. Before you go on, I got to highlight this. He's coming hard. This Big Ruck. This wasn't right what you just said right here. You first of all, you hit so many Gen X references with this one. The Jessica version of the Carter from New Jack City. You ain't right, bro. That is wrong. Big Ruck, you are wrong, brother. That is so wrong for saying that. That ain't right, bro.
CMB!
We all we got. But in any event, let's talk about the hockey. So again, congratulations to Team USA, men and women's. Certainly, and for the men, this has been historic. Again, on the same day that Team USA beat the Russians back in 1980, I was there. I watched the call right on my TV. I was 11 years old. I was 11 years old. Do you believe in miracles? Yes, Al Michaels. So first time. So Mike Ruzioni and all those guys were lionized for that one moment. We got close a couple times. We got there close in 2002. I think in 2012, I think we got close again. But, certainly we were finally able to pull it off. We beat Canada, and the women, certainly as dominant. Both teams went undefeated in there. And just the finals, I'm just going to go through some highlights real quick. Shout out to Layla Edwards, the first black female on the women's team. They beat Canada 2-1 in overtime, and likewise for the men. And again, this was a very emotional, certainly game and story for the men's Olympic team. Obviously, Gradeau from New Jersey was deleted by a drunk driver. Him and his brother, they got a wedding, and just a tragic story. But again, at the end, if you weren't touched by what happened, they took his 2 kids. They brought the kids on the ice to take the picture with the jersey. So this was definitely a major win in pub for the U.S. The goalie, he had won. Actually, he got the Medal of Freedom last night. Not to go into politics, but he got the Medal of Freedom last night. So certainly shout out to him. And then also what made this special was again the family connections. So you got the Hughes brothers. Jack Hughes, he had the winning gold in overtime, certainly to win the game. But then you also had the I'm going to butcher these names, so Anton, help me out. The Chychuk, how do you pronounce that?
The Kachuk brothers. The Kachuk brothers. Matt
okay.
And Brady Kachuk. They're the sons of former NHL player Keith Kachuk, a.k.a. Big Walt. Their father was an NHL player, 16 years in the league. He played on the '96 World Cup team. He also was on the Olympic team in both 2002 and I believe in 2006. So he's always played for Team USA in some way, shape, or form. Brady and Matt are rink rats, so they grew up around the rink, the whole 9 yards, and they also came through the National Team Development Program as well as the Hughes brothers, Jack and Quentin, but there's a third brother, Luke, but right now he's currently on long-term injured reserve with a shoulder injury. So there's simply 3 Hughes brothers, not 2. But ironically, what people didn't know is the Hughes brothers' mother, Ellen, works with USA Hockey for the women's team. And she also played on the women's team back in the early to mid-'90s when women's hockey was starting to gain some traction as well.
Right. So it's definitely a family affair with these teams. It's crazy. Like even the uniforms are kind of reminiscent of the ones that they had back in 1980. So it just seems like all the stars aligned on this. And again, I'm not going to say much as far as the again, I'm not the analyst here. That's what Anton's here for. But what I would say is this. I mean, clearly this is the biggest. USA Canada is the biggest global event. I mean, almost if it wasn't for the Cold War in the 80s, this is probably the biggest rivalry still. We saw this in the four what was that? Four Nations. You saw the physicality. I mean, off the rip, they're fighting early on. You were thinking that, would a fight break out here in the Olympics? But you definitely saw how from opening tap, you saw how physical the game was. I mean, they were knocking the heck out of each other in the game. Team Canada was dominant. I think on shots on goal was 42-28 for Team Canada. They had a 5-on-3 power play at one point, and the Team USA was able to resist it. The first goal by Bolde was amazing. Splits 2 defenders, flicks the puck in the air, and then hits a backhanded shot in. That was Jordan. That was like Steph Curry in that Olympic final game where he just went off just hitting 3-pointers or whatever. It's like, you can't teach that. I don't know if you can coach that or whatever, but that was just like an amazing play. So it seemed like Team Canada seemed to have the better team. They seemed to have like the, certainly more shots on goal. It was just an amazing effort and incredible shots by the Americans to win it. Even 2 games prior, the goal to the overtime goal for them to get to the semis, and then they had a pretty easy semis. And then this game here. But again, I don't think you could have got any more out of this game than what you got. Great game, great for the U.S. And again, just for the family, who lost their sons. Again, you just can't write a better story than that. So that's all I want to say on it. But Sean, if you want to get in, and Dante, have your thoughts, and I'm just going to let Anton cook for the rest of the show and give his detailed analysis on it. Then we'll close out the show. Try to end it by 150 mark.
Yeah.
All right.
I caught towards the end. I think I was doing stuff that day, and you got to remember because the whole time difference. I think it came on here locally in Texas. 7 a.m. Because
Yeah. It was 8 a.m. on the East Coast, so it had to be at least 7 for you guys.
So I was able to watch. What I did like, I heard some 50-50, I guess, from people. was the 3-on-3 overtime. I think that was interesting. They was like, Lou, it definitely like it's you're gonna get your one-on-one matchups, and hey, best man win. Go win this. So we won't have to have this thing going on too long. I believe USA, I think, had a chance to win it before they actually scored the winning goal. I believe they had a chance to win. It was an incredible glove save by the goalie, and then of course they end up winning just a couple of minutes later. But yeah, it was a good game. I didn't see the women's gold medal, but it kind of reminded me of we brought it up earlier about the basketball, how the men and women, in basketball they both was playing France, and both of them had a hell of a game to win gold. I don't know. Well, the women was close. I forgot the details though, and because women played against Canada too as well, didn't they?
Yes, they did.
Yeah.
So it's just interesting. Both men and women playing the same team. Both games went to the wire. But when I came out that game, I did like that 3-on-3, and of course me watching First Take. They had Mad Dog Russo on there. Of course he hated it. He hated the 3-on-3. He wanted to go back to the 5-on-5. So
I'll explain that later.
But yeah, I feel like real quick, I liked it starting the morning off. Is like the other events kind of was tough to watch, but having it that early, only thing I didn't like is I'm heading to church and I'm seeing the game, like it gets tied. I love the goal. I'm about the goalies. I love the fact that like this puck is coming so fast, and it's like, how did you stop that shot? And I know like our goalie is great. I know our goalie was so good. I think the guy from the Stars, he basically got the Tyrese Halliburton medal. Where it's just like, hey man, I was there on the team, but I didn't do nothing. So because the guy ahead of you is so great. But it was killing me not to pull it out, pull out my phone. I felt my phone buzz. I watch it, and they were like, "Oh, it's going in overtime." Walking into church, feel my phone buzz. I was like, "We either won or we lost." I know what that is, but I was like, "We're writing a sermon. I'm gonna be disciplined. I ain't gonna watch it." Pull out my phone so the service was over, and I was like, "We got it." And I was explaining to my wife, I was just like, "I've never seen them win a gold medal in my lifetime." As far as like at the Olympics, because that was 1980. I've heard about 1980 my whole life. Now I got my own, especially. I love, man. If you didn't get emotional when they brought the kids out. In the jersey. I don't know. You ain't got no heart. But that was crazy. So I'm glad we won. I'm glad that's why I clear out, do your thing, because you can break down what I can't. But love watching it. Love that they won the goal.
Okay.
Gotcha.
First off, congratulations to both the men and the women's team for what they accomplished. For the women's team, ladies first. For Hillary Knight, she's a 5-time Olympian. She goes out with a gold medal. She's won 2 golds, 3 silvers with the United States. She scored the tying goal with less than 35 seconds left to tie the game up to help force overtime. Kellen Heller, believe her name is. She scored the game winner, and it wasn't even a powerful shot. She was able to skate in, and they were also playing to round 3. She was able to skate in, take a simple shot with right between the goalie's legs, and then the puck just rolled right behind her and right into the net for them to win it. And they were also perfect from start to finish. They were that dominant of a team. They never felt that when they played the gold medal game against Canada, that was the first time they ever didn't have a lead. That was the first time ever throughout the tournament. That's how strong the U.S. was, plain and simple. They've always had a very dominant team. A lot of people said it's probably one of the best teams. Layla Edwards, shout out to her, first black woman to represent the United States in women's ice hockey. And she was actually playing out of position. She actually was a forward. But they asked her to play out of position because, 1, they already had enough forwards, and 2, they wanted to keep her on the team, and they really didn't want to cut her. So she chose to play defense. And the fact that she chose to play out of position and still was able to accomplish what she did in the Olympics tells you how talented she is. And she's also 2-time national champion for the University of Wisconsin. So shout out to the Badgers and everything else for the players that they had. As for the men, I am not afraid to admit Canada dominated that game from start to finish. Shots on goal, the pace, the hitting, everything. The first shot on goal for the United States, which scored the goal, Matt Boldy took the puck up,
Amazing.
literally bounced the puck, and drilled it right between Cal McCall and Devin Taves. He found a way to get right between them. And the minute he got enough space from those guys, he was able to settle the puck and backhand it in. And Billington was really caught off guard, like, did that really just pass me?
Yeah.
He wasn't expecting it because most of the time guys are not going to shoot back off the backhand. And he was able to do that, and they scored a goal. After that, Taylor just turned it up. They pushed real hard and everything else. Like you guys said, they couldn't do it. Canada couldn't do anything on the power play. They had a 5-on-3, 2-minute advantage for a little over almost a minute and a half. Then we literally played 5-on-2 because one of the U.S. players lost his stick, and they still couldn't capitalize. So shout out to their penalty kill, and surprisingly, they were the only team in the tournament not to surrender a power play goal. That was coaching. That was talent. I believe Dan Quinn, one of the assistant coaches, was in charge of that. Shout out to him and to a lot of guys on the penalty kill. Hellebuyck stepped up in every sense possible. He used the paddle of his stick to keep the puck out in one aspect from Devin Taves. Taves was surprised that the puck didn't go in. Macklin celebrated, came in on a breakaway in the second period and got turned away by Hellebuyck. Hellebuyck literally was standing on his head trying to do everything possible to keep that puck out of the net. Second period, when Canada scored the goal, it was good movement, puck movement by Canada, moving the puck around and everything else. The U.S. was tired because they kept icing the puck, which is delaying the game, and you can't do substitutions when that happens. So when Canada took advantage of that opportunity, Cal McCall was able to score that goal, and there was a screen in front of Hellebuyck. That's what tied the game up at 1. Canada kept the pressure on and everything else. And at the same time, Canada made mistakes by passing the puck too many times. They were looking for the perfect opening, and all they needed was an opening. They passed the puck one or two too many times, and every time you do that, that gives the goaltender an opportunity to set himself. So every time Canada kept moving the puck more than they needed to, Hellebuyck was able to get in position to either block the puck or that gave the U.S. defense to take away those shooting lanes. So that was one of the bigger problems as well. And even though the United States were literally playing on their heels, you could tell they were playing not to lose because they know how Canada could come back and steal a win, and they've done it before in the tournament. Once they got to overtime, it's almost like a switch just turned on. They go 3-on-3. U.S. had a shot. Billington put a real good save on it and everything else. Kept moving the puck. Took a shot on Hellebuyck. He was able to stop the puck. They kept going back and forth. Then McDavid tried going in with the puck on his own. Hughes was able to hit the puck out of his stick. Pass the puck to Werenski. So now you got Zach Werenski and I believe it was Charlie McAvoy going down the ice where it was a 2-on-1. Drew Dowdy trying to figure out who to stop. Yeah. Then you see Jack Hughes come up to the left. It's a 3-on-1. You see Connor McDavid coming up, and we all know how fast he is. If you've never seen how fast he is, he's very fast. He couldn't cover all that open space in the ring where Werenski was able to do a cross-ice pass. Werenski was able to stop on a dime, literally, to pass the puck cross-ice to Hughes. And the minute Hughes got the puck, he just kept on skating, and it seemed like McDavid knew that puck was going in. Because if you paid attention, he kind of looked, and he realized, oh, no, he got this. And the minute Hughes got the puck and kept on skating and fired that shot, it went in with no problem, and you saw McDavid literally get up right before the shot hit the net. Then you see Tom McCarr come in the screen and skate to Billington, and Billington felt like, y'all left me out there high and dry. Mm. You gave me no sense of protection whatsoever. You gave them all those openings to take the shot to win it. U.S. goes crazy. They go bananas and everything else. And if you look at the Canada bench, you saw the sense of anger, of frustration, and disappointment on their faces like, we gave them that game. That's basically what it was. Yeah. We gave them that game. You saw Macklin celebrating literally in tears. You see Cal McCarr standing on the ice with his stick next to him like, we gave him that game. We gave him that game.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing I forgot to mention also, Nathan McKinnon had a wide open shot, rushed the shot, hit the post. Canada had a significant number of opportunities to win the game, and they blew it. And I'm not going to sit there and say Canada lost this game or the U.S. won. It was a combination of both.
Mm-hmm.
Canada made a mistake. The U.S. took advantage of it, and they capitalized on it. And the players, you saw the emotion on their faces. And I told you guys before, you're not going to see a dry eye if the U.S. wins. You saw not a dry eye. And then when they started scanning that lap, you saw Zach Werenski and Matthew Tkachuk and Austin Matthews holding up Johnny Gaudreau's sweater. Everybody was cheering. I told you they were playing for him. Werenski played with Gaudreau in Columbus for 3 years. Matthew Tkachuk played years in Calgary together. So they've always had a very strong friendship with one another. And it was just that powerful because those guys wanted to win a this wasn't the first time they did this. They honored him at Four Nations, came short to Canada. They honored him at the World Championships that same year, that same spring. Werenski runs out to the locker room to bring out Gaudreau's jersey when they got the trophy presentation to win World Championships, and they made sure to have his jersey out there to honor him when they won gold medal. And then when you saw Zach Werenski and Dylan Larkin after the first team photo go and get the kids to get his daughter Noah and Johnny Jr., who just turned 2 that day, and to see Larkin and Werenski with the kids, and to see Larkin, both Werenski and Tkachuk holding Gaudreau's sweater, there was not a dry eye. And from what I heard, everybody, the American fans, the Canadian fans, were chanting Johnny Hockey because he brought those guys together in so many ways, and he loved everything about playing for Team USA and USA Hockey. And Jack Hughes said it best: USA Hockey is a brotherhood. All those guys came up through the National Team Development Program. A lot of those guys have all played with one another in some way, shape, or form. All those guys know each other all too well. And you saw it right there that Sunday when they got their gold medals. You saw that bond. You saw the love they have for each other. And they, as much it bothers them that Johnny was not there, they all said the same thing. They felt his presence. And when you saw Johnny's parents tear up, that said it all.
Yeah.
That's how much these guys love each other. That's how much these guys appreciate one another. And I know they're probably going to do the same thing at World Championships this year, but I'm hoping, and if USA Hockey is listening, I would like for them to take the number 13 out of rotation for right now, because it would not feel right to see another player wearing it. And and I think that's the best way to honor them. Either you take it out of the rotation and you give it to a special player that exemplifies everything about Johnny Gaudreau, or you retire altogether as a tribute to him. That's just my opinion. And I hope USA Hockey does that, because I feel like, and you hear the stories from a lot of players, he just has this personality that brings people together. And just to show how close a lot of these guys are, like I said, Gaudreau and Tkachuk played together in Calgary. I remember, I think Gaudreau was in Tkachuk's wedding party when he got married. That's how close these guys are. A lot of these guys have been there for each other when they get married, when they become fathers. Some of these guys are probably the godfathers to a lot of their children. These guys have such a strong bond that a lot of people never understood. And you got to give credit to Bill Guerin. You got to give credit to John Van Beesbrook. You got to give credit to, he works for USA Hockey as well. Yeah. There are a lot of guys, former players, who work for USA Hockey in so many ways, and you got to give them credit for the system they put together, not just for the men's team, but the women's team as well, for everything they've done to help grow the game in the last 30 years. To see where it went from that 96 World Cup till now, that took a lot of work. And for them to beat Canada, to do it, making it even extra special. And a lot of Canadians will say the same thing. They don't like the fact that they lost, but seeing what the U.S. did to honor Goodrow, they couldn't be mad. So I hope USA Hockey, they take the number 13 out of rotation, or they retire as a tribute to Goodrow.
Yeah.
And every now and then, if a player exemplifies everything about USA Hockey, what he's about, that young man or young woman, if they exemplify everything about it, give them the privilege and honor to wear the 13.
Gotcha. We're gonna wrap it up. We're gonna do a wrap.
We're thinking about.
Appreciate you. Appreciate that perspective, and thank you for that detail. And we'll talk about this more, because I also want to find out, like, where does Team USA go from here? Because again, if Canada, and again, just from the game, Canada, the men's team at least, still might be better. How can Team USA improve from there? But that, we might want to save that for another show. The next show, maybe we can kind of have a follow up to that and talk about where do they go from here? You said the Worlds are coming up, so I'd like to see how they can advance. But it seems like the women, they seem to be at this point, they might be the best in the world. Men, they're kind of definitely in the top two. But we'll see how that goes. But I want to do a hard stop now. Yeah, I want to do a hard stop now because I know we got another show coming up. So we got our guy Taroos. If you guys in the Black Man Unfiltered space, you guys know Taroos from the panels and whatnot. He's one of those voices. Not he's the liberal on the panel. I thought I was kind of center left. He's like lefty left, but he's got a new show that's about to drop. So I definitely want to check that out as he launches his debut show coming up right after us. So again, I want to respect the time and give him time to set up so he can get into the space the way he needs to. So again, Taroos, salute and good luck on your show tonight. And certainly we'll be watching. But again, we're going to do a hard stop here on the Black Man Unfiltered show. Just make sure that you hit the like button certainly as you leave tonight. And again, sorry, Alexis, we didn't get a chance to talk about the boxing. But I would say congrats to Ryan Garcia. Him and Shakur, that needs to be the next fight that happens. Let's see if we can pull that off. If we can get that going, boxing will be fine unless boxing shoots itself in the foot. No. We'll definitely talk about that next. I want my $150 back from the first fight. I want my $150 back from the first fight. So absolutely not. And Tyson and Mayweather, no to that also. I ain't dealing with that. But listen, guys. We'll chop that up next week. We already know we'll talk about the combine, the results from there. We'll talk about draft needs. We'll talk about boxing. We'll have a follow up on the hockey. All that next week. Absolutely. Make sure you hit the like button as you leave the show. But we appreciate you guys being part of the conversation tonight. So for myself, for Shawnee, for Anton, and for first round exit loading, Dante. This is the One-on-One Sports Show here on the Black Man Unfiltered Network. Take care. God bless. We'll see you next time. Good night.